Hi, I'm Nancy O'Neill, Director of Detroit Business Hub Group. Welcome to the Detroit Business Hub Group podcast. Listen to business professionals share their expertise to help you start and accelerate your business. Invest in your business now. I recently wrote a book called Fire Your Job, Be Your Own Boss. And from the book, I realized that a lot of business owners, especially new business owners, they need help. They don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of business because it's new to them and they're on a learning curve. Because as a business owner, you're not just selling your product or concept, you're also running the business. So you're in charge of human resources, people calling, customer complaints. You're in charge of product quality. You're in charge of people management, hiring staff, payroll. So these are all parts of owning your own business. It's not just the product or service that you're offering. You can either choose to hire people to do those things, but most of the time with new business owners, they do it themselves. The Hub Group comes in to help because we are a group of business professionals. We own our own businesses, and we can help you put those pieces together. So the benefit of the Hub Group is that you have access to 8 to 9 different professionals who on your own, if you were to go to them, more than likely you could not afford them. We're offering you these products at a discounted rate in order to help you grow your business.
If you can't make it in Detroit, you can't make it anywhere. And what that means is simply this. The Detroit population is so diverse. It's one of the most diverse populations in the country. So it's easy to find people who think like me, who agree with me, who want to do business with me. I'm not out there looking for a needle in a haystack. I came to a city where there are thousands of people who want to build wealth, who want to do well in their community, who have a sense of pride, sense of ownership. Those are the people I want to be around because those are my kind of people.
If you're ready to jumpstart your business in 2020, hire the Detroit Business Hub Group and go to my website at nancyo'neill.com.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Dietrich. I am the Business Development Manager for Lake Trust Credit Union. We have 22 locations across the state. We have 2 locations in Detroit. Our newest location is actually in New Center, right on Woodward. We have been in Detroit for a very long time, though. We previously were DTE Employees Credit Union. We've been very heavily involved in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Detroit for the last few years, though, with partners like Nancy at the Detroit Business Hub and Midtown Development, Inc., and Build Institute. So we're really excited to be part of Detroit and to be here this evening.
Okay, great. Bivings?
Bivings with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, also abbreviated DEGC. I am a district business liaison. I am one of 7. There are one of us for each city council district. We are a unique role. We have the privilege of reporting directly to the mayor as well as city council, which is really cool because the business owners' needs are easily able to be addressed, being able to speak to both branches of government. There's not been one issue since I've started this position where I was not able to find a way for a business. I mean, sometimes some requests take longer, but there is always a way that I'm learning, especially when both branches of government are walking hand in hand for the small businesses.
Okay, and I'm Nancy O'Neill. I'm the director of the Detroit Business Hub Group. So welcome to my 2 guests.
E-commerce, social media, and what?
So first thing we want to talk about is funding sources that are still available for business owners. Nicole, I took a look at the Lake Trust Credit Union website, and it looks like you're still offering the PPP loan and the emergency disaster loan. So
It is.
can you speak on that and let us know like where you are? Are you an SBA lender? That's the take I took away from taking a look at your website.
Lake Trust Credit Union is an SBA lender. We work very closely with the SBA. In fact, a lot of what I wanted to talk about this evening is also additional resources when you have questions about some of the funding or how to be one of the first to know about some of the funding that's out there, because that is actually the challenge. But we are an SBA lender. We are still taking on some of the applications. There is still some funding available. Primarily though, we have been encouraging individuals to start with their original lender, because when you think about even the EIDL, and a lot of the EIDL right now is really, I think they've moved more to agricultural funding, so kind of the farming food funding. But there is also the Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program. It sometimes gets called as EBL. That is also through the SBA, and you would need to go back to your original lender, so where your primary relationship is. Right now, we are working with a few nonprofits for the PPP funding that maybe just have that strong lending relationship already, though.
Okay. And how are these loans measuring up compared to the first phase? Are small businesses actually getting the funding this time around, or what changed, if anything? Sorry to put you on the spot. But
no, I think anytime that things are watched a little closely, we actually were proud. We had some of our members get approved through for the first time. In the second round, we were able to get all of our members that were interested the funding that they had. We were able to take their applications. So if it is something you are still interested in, I do recommend that you go back to your primary financial institution to see if it is something you're interested, if it would make sense for you. I think where you want to really think about with the PPP funding, though, it is not perfect for everyone. And so I think you really need to walk through with an accountant and with your banker to make sure it makes sense for you. We partner heavily also with SBAM, the Small Business Association of Michigan. They are the one, I guess, resource, even Nancy, if they weren't to go through you, that would be the one resource I would say get really close to. They do daily updates at 3 p.m. You can dial into a webinar, and they're all stored. For this week, there was a great one on the 18th about PPP funding, and even the one today touched on it just a bit. But there's some great resources there about the forgiveness and how to navigate that, because it's not going to be as easy as I think when everybody first heard about it. It's not going to be as easy. You're going to need to make sure you're looking at everything very closely.
Okay. I want to correct myself too, because I did this on the last podcast. Economic Injury Disaster Loan. I want to make sure I'm saying the acronym correctly.
The EIDL, yes, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL, or known as our friend the EIDL loan. But I do believe right now, if you go to the SBA's website, there is a big sort of banner there that says it is currently limited to agricultural need. So again, go to your SBA lender that you have a relationship with and inquire. But I wouldn't be surprised if you're not somehow connected to that agricultural world, that might not be a good fit for you right now. But it is always good to ask. It's always good to ask.
Yes, it does say on the website only to provide relief to U.S. agricultural businesses. So that's a major difference that did not apply the first time around. So that's good for people to know, so they're not wasting their time.
Yeah. And that's, again, the Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program, or again, we sort of the EBL. If you look on the SBA's website, and that has to be through an SBA lender, but I have it pulled up here. It says it allows small businesses who currently have a business relationship with an SBA Express lender to access up to $25,000 quickly. So it's kind of your gap loan. Some people were using it as a gap to like their EIDL when they first had that the first time. So again, go back to your lender that you have a relationship with, and if that sounds like something that might make sense for you, to go back and talk about that as well. And I think also be on the lookout for grants. Right now, the MEDC is running a program. I would be surprised if you're interested. You probably need to get your application in this weekend. But MEDC is always running some programs, but they have MI Local Biz. It's through Patronicity, which is actually a Detroit-based company. They're awesome. I partnered with them on a campaign in Brighton. But this is to help provide crowdfunding resources to businesses across the state, and they're matching up to 5,000. So there are resources like that across the state happening. I do like the MEDC, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. I do like their site. It has a lot of information condensed, and they're doing different things for main streets. And so it is good to see if you might qualify for something there. Also, if you're a restaurant or if you're somehow tied to food, the MI Good Food Fund, I've been on a lot of webinars and conference calls with them, and they have been great about pushing resources out to their footprint as well. So if you're somehow touching food, if you're a restaurant, if you're packaging, if you're making salsa, whatever it might be, that would be a really good resource to, they will personally work through funding for you. They also work with Build. They might, you might end up with some Kiva funding, but they will help you find funding or grants that's right for you based on where you're at, whether you're West Side, whether you're Detroit, whether you're Ann Arbor. So again, that's MI Good Food Fund. They would be a good resource as well.
Okay, thank you. Bivings, can you talk about some of the resources you guys have available with DEGC at the local level?
So just this week, you may have heard the mayor announce we've launched a new web program entitled Detroit Means Business. Please feel free to go to detroitmeansbusiness.org. And this website is designed to help business owners reopen, help business owners identify technical assistance, financial assistance, and many other needs that business owners will need. So right now, if one went on the website, they would be able to request a time to pick up their personal protection equipment, also known as PPE. In addition to that, you always have the SBA, things of that nature. And that's kind of some of the primary things right now. But then we also have, the Lowe's has a $25 million grant for minority companies that are looking to reopen it, and the grant funding will assist with PPE. Capital Impact Partners has grant funding for developers. So that's for like construction development. That's some of the programs that are being offered right now at the local level.
Would those be on your website consolidated in one spot?
Yes. That is detroitmeansbusiness.org. And as something we are learning real quick is we are building the plane as we are flying.
Gotcha. Well, are you all still doing Detroit City Match, or is that on hold right now?
Motor City Match and Motor City Restore at the moment is on hold.
Okay. And there were some grants that you had when coronavirus just started in March, but have those closed down? And there are new ones right now?
That grant application was open for maybe, I think it was open for maybe a week or two, and we were able to allocate about $4.5 million throughout the city of Detroit. That was a grant in partnership with Wayne County.
I see. Okay, well, that was good. It sounds...
Yep, it opened, it closed, and we are now at the process of basically going through paperwork and logistics as far as awarding the applicants.
Okay. Well, we talked about funding a little bit. What are some ideas that both of you have for how other ways businesses can obtain revenue and get new customers other than, looking for alternative streams of income? How can they get their sales up?
I would say begin to really focus on e-commerce. Look into unique ways to be able to create revenue. we had a business owner who had a grand opening literally during the crisis, and they're designed to be a brick and mortar. And they literally went immediately, set up an online page, really created their Facebook, and they're doing relatively well as far as revenue just off of sales online.
Okay. So they had like a virtual open house or grand opening.
Yes, they did not get an opportunity to have a physical grand opening.
What type of business is it?
This is a shoe store.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yep, it is a shoe store.
That's
I would
interesting.
second his comments that, again, we've been working with a lot of small businesses because we have the footprint from lake to lake. So we end up all the way to Grand Haven, where, you know, things have looked and felt a little bit different on the west side. But helping individuals in Lansing that have been part of different grant programs that we've been maybe sitting on the voting team or even in Howell, it is amazing how many businesses had not shifted to the e-commerce world. And the ones that you see doing well have shifted to that and activated it, and they're having a social media presence. So whether it's you know, doing something virtual where it's like maybe you do a wine and a Zoom and a shop around your store, they highlight different things. The individuals that are doing that really well, or right now while we're closed and are pivoting their resources to that, I think we'll be ready to take on, you know, whatever the next phase will be. So I would really say, like what Vivian said, start now. If you haven't, start now and build that out, and then really get your social media activated. And, you know, I think there's nothing wrong with good old fashioned flyers and, you know, reaching out to your core clientele as well.
Okay. What are you all seeing in the marketplace? We're like supposedly between phases 2 and 3 in Whitmer's 6-phase plan. Are you currently seeing businesses reopen at this time?
Yes, they are starting to reopen. I just also want to say, Nicole, I like that slogan you used from lake to lake. I like that. That's really nice.
Thanks. I didn't create it, but we do like it. It works well.
It works. Yes, so business owners are, from the moment they closed down, they really began to prepare to reopen. And as we are, the governor just, as you know, next week, retail businesses will be able to begin to open. So I actually will be working, myself and the entire small business team at the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation has made ourselves available this entire holiday weekend so that we could take calls and begin to prepare business owners to at least be able to get their personal protection equipment. So that is one of the main concerns for business owners is, how can I alleviate the fears of the clients? How do I market in this? Will the customer base, are they interested in, is the customer base interested in coming in at this time? Will it flourish? Things of that nature. And then the type of questions vary depending on the business. So if you're like a bike shop, my bike shop businesses, they've done pretty well during this. My auto shops, they've done pretty well in this. My cleaners, laundromats, they've done well in this. But then when I go to my hair salons, my barber shops, my nail technicians, they have been completely closed. So they are extremely concerned because, as you know, interfacing and contact is a bit more personal for those businesses. So they're concerned, how do I do it? Do I allow walk-in customers? How many people do I allow in the lobby at a time? How am I going to sanitize every time a customer leaves so I can make the next customer feel comfortable? So these are some of the questions that we are navigating through and identifying ways to strengthen them so that they can open.
Right. Well, some of those. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nicole.
You hit on something that's really key, and it's also the comfort of your guest that's going to be walking through your door. So I think it is important to have all the pieces in place, but it's thinking through how you're going to message that to your customers that are coming in. There is a neat resource. There's lots of resources out there. Let's not fool ourselves. And, there's some great ones just on the government's website, but Nordstrom's has a really neat plan, and they've shared it. It's out on the web. So there is a PDF that, and it's not just like, it's not rules to follow. It's how do you change, it's change management for your customers, and how do you get them ready, and how do you help navigate some of those difficult conversations. So I think even preparing your team, if you are a customer facing, what are you going to say if somebody doesn't come in with a face mask? How are you going to handle that? Well, I think it's even the dreaded word role play, but making sure your team is prepared for that, and making sure you're communicating to your customers what you're doing to protect them and to protect your team, I think will help as well, because we know people are tired of being home, but there's also that segment that I think wants to know they're going to be safe. So I think getting out there, it is important. And that's a neat resource that touches on more of the soft skills versus what you have to do legally to get open.
Okay.
In addition to what Nancy is saying, as Nancy was saying, it's what is the state regulations, what are the city regulations, just to check to make sure that you're on the mark. And one of the resources that they could check is the playbook that can be found on the DetroitMeansBusiness.org. It's a step-by-step guide depending on the type of business you are, for residents in the Detroit area, primarily Detroit.
Yeah, I thought that was what Whitmer's Michigan Safe Start plan was about too, was making sure that these places of businesses opened up properly so that consumers did feel safe when they went through the business. This is a little off, but since this just happened today in the news, what do you all feel about the president now saying that churches have to open as early as this Sunday? Are there, I guess there is some type of format that churches have to follow, but I don't know if you all followed that in the news today. What type of effect do you think that's going to have on the community, including the business community? I know I'm kind of off a little bit, but I just wanted to get what your takes were.
Well, my immediate take is if citizens will feel compelled to start their church services this Sunday, many church goers or people who are out, they may stop. They may want to go shopping. They may want to get something done that small business can provide that service to them. One of the things the governor allowed is for businesses to schedule appointments. So this could be an opportunity for small businesses who, especially if they know their customer base, to maybe reach out to their customer base, maybe mass text, maybe email, maybe Facebook, and other forms that allows one to schedule. So they can say, hey, I know you're getting ready to go to church this Sunday. Feel free to stop in. Here are some available appointments, things of that nature. In addition to, hey, if you don't want to stop in, what is it that you need? We could do a drop-off service for you, or you can do just a drive-by and we could come outside. These are some of the ways that they could tap into this market, and potentially it could be a benefit for their revenue.
I agree 100%. I think they go hand in hand, that you're going to have people out and they're going to want to maybe do the traditional lunch. Maybe it is carry out, but I think it's a good thing all the way around. I think that churches were preparing for sort of, I think a lot of them had that June 1st mindset. So I think they're probably likely ready. And I think, again, the preparing for church, maybe you just haven't been out of the house in a long time and you want a new dress, whatever that might be, or the snacks after. I think it's good. I think it's a great thing all the way around. And I was I was really glad to see, I'm just starting glad to see things falling into place.
Okay, great. Well, do either one of you have any last comments? I know I didn't get to every single question, but some of you answered the questions before I even got to them. So anything you want? Oh, I did want to say one more thing about businesses making decisions to permanently close. Do you think it's too soon, or how long should businesses continue to pay for operating expenses when they don't really have consistent revenue coming through the door?
So, fortunately and unfortunately, during this time, I have the pleasure of working with at least 380 business owners directly, and I've only had one business call and say I have to shut down.
Okay, say the numbers again because you faded out a little bit. We didn't hear the statistic.
Fortunately, I have the pleasure of being able to work with directly at least 380 businesses that I directly work with, and they work with me. And fortunately and unfortunately, only one has had to call and say they had to shut down.
Okay.
We exhausted our options to be able to try to keep them open. But to answer the question, it's really about projections.
Mm-hmm.
What is needed to sustain yourself for the next 5 months, to 6 months, 12 months? How many employees are needed? And then that's like the due diligence question that they'll have to answer for themselves. But then also, there's a lot of programs, as Nicole was saying, for small businesses. And prior to COVID-19, with everyday life, the hustle and bustle, and running a business, many times a business owner just does not have the time to take that seat to gain that new skill set that's going to help them increase their revenue. So during this time, the programs are still being offered. Many of the programs that cost are now free or are extremely cheap, and it would behoove a business owner to maybe like tap into that. Better marketing, how to prepare a profit and loss statement, how to be able to project. Some business owners, unfortunately, COVID-19 has revealed that they're not able to answer these questions, which adds to their hindering. So that's exactly what I would suggest the business owner to do: is where are your projections, what's needed, where are you? Let's answer that question first, and through that we'll be able to know.
I think even maybe seeking the consultation from somebody like you, Nancy, but I just this week talked to 2 businesses that decided to cut their losses. I think a little bit to Vivian's point that they were really just operating at a break-even point before all of this happened, and just decided that they both had families and to continue. One in particular was a yoga studio, and really by feedback of her clientele could tell they were not going to be necessarily comfortable coming back in, and happened to be in a very expensive studio space. So she just decided to put a pause, dissolve that, do some different things. Now had said, I think a lot of it happened to be with the space she was in, but to walk away from that. But I think if they're at a break-even point before this happened, and then all of this happening, definitely get some consultation before they do. But that's kind of what we're hearing. It's the businesses that were maybe going to be in the red without all of this happening. Now, at least just like I said, 2 in our footprint had just decided to move on and find other paths.
Okay. Well, Nicole, if someone doesn't have a bank and they want to establish that relationship, how can they contact you? And then Vivian's, leave your contact information as well.
Yeah. I can be found, you can just really send me an email. It's Nicole Dietrich, Dietrich. So it's ndietrich@laketrust.org, or they could simply go to laketrust.org. Our Woodward location normally is open. It's not right now, just because the lot is closed, but normally they could just walk in and come and see us. We're at 6505 Woodward right across from Yum Village. A lot of people know where he's at. We'd be happy to help through this. Again, we can just even have a conversation. So yeah, they could just reach directly out to me or just laketrust.org.
Okay, Bivings?
Me, there's, like I said, I'm one of 7. But feel free to give me a call, and wherever your business is in the city of Detroit, I can easily connect you to your district business liaison. I can be reached at 313-510-5288. And my email address is M as in boy, I, V as in Victor, INGS @DEGC.org. And then if you just want to scroll through.
Bivings, you cut out again.
Okay.
Can you give us the email address again? You cut out just a little bit.
Okay, M as in Mary, B as in boy, I, V as in Victor, INGS @DEGC.org. And also just go to DEGC.org to see some of the programs and opportunities available in the city of Detroit. And also, please go to DetroitMeansBusiness.org.
Thank you for joining us today. Detroit Business Hub Group is committed to your success. Go to nancyoneal.com/DBHG for business tips, blogs, videos, and virtual classes. Watch your investment pay off.